Hi everyone, welcome to our asynchronous library instruction session. We are going to be talking about using library search tools for your academic papers. And if you have any questions after the video, you are welcome to email the Spalding University Library at library@spalding.edu. So, a brief overview of what we're going to cover today. This session has two kind of mini subsections. We're going to start with searching with Discover Eagle as part one and searching in databases as part two. So, we're going to be talking about how to develop and implement keywords for advanced searches on the library website. We're going to talk about using limiters or filters to exclude unrelated results. We'll talk about how to search across all library databases using Discover Eagle. We'll talk about how to choose and search a particular library database for information, and how to generate an APA citation using the library website. But before we begin, I do want to give you all a brief review of source evaluation. This is something that we've talked about in the library instruction sessions for SU 100 and English 109, so this is just going to be a quick refresher. So when you're researching, it's helpful to think about whether you're looking at a scholarly or peer-reviewed source or a popular source. So a scholarly or peer-reviewed source is an academic article or book that has been published in an academic press and has been through the peer review process, which is kind of a rigorous method of academic editing in which other professionals in a field review articles before they're published. So that's why these are generally considered kind of the most reliable sources that you're going to be using in your academic papers. A popular source, on the other hand, is a source created for a popular or general audience. So, some examples of this would be newspapers, magazines, non academic books. Popular sources can be reliable, but you do have to do a little bit more evaluating because they are not peer reviewed. So, when evaluating popular sources, you want to be thinking through kind of a couple of big topics, and those are publisher, author, and date. So, for the author, you want to ask, who is this author? What are their credentials or qualifications? And why should I trust them on this particular topic? For publisher, you want to be asking, what kinds of books or articles does this publisher usually publish? What is their reputation? You can figure out reputation by Googling the names of publishers and looking into what other sources have said about them. And this is important because an author may be qualified and credentialed to talk about a particular subject, but you want that kind of dual reliability of a reliable author publishing with a reliable publisher as well. And then for date published, you want to ask, when was this information found? Is the date relevant to my research question? So, when was this published? And if it was published a long time ago, is that a problem? For more scientific topics, an older publishing date might make something a little bit less reliable. So, some examples of generally credible popular sources are news corporations like the New York Times and the Washington Post. And whenever you get an assignment, I recommend always checking to see if your professor specifies what kinds of sources they would like you to use. Sometimes professors will have a required number of scholarly sources, and sometimes they won't. And yeah, so if you're unsure, you should always just ask your professor and check in about that because the type of sources you're using in your paper are really important. So we're going to move on to conducting searches, and we'll get started with part one, which is searching with Discover Eagle. So, Discover Eagle Advanced Search. We're going to start at the library website, library.spalding.edu. On the home page, we see this dark blue Discover Eagle box. So, when we search within this box, it's going to allow us to search the entirety of the library's collections. This will yield the most results. When you have a more specialized topic in mind, it can be a good idea to search in a particular database using the database's A to Z option pointed out on this slide. But we'll talk about databases later in this presentation. For now, we're going to do an advanced search in Discover Eagle. So to do that, you'll select that advanced search option in the dark blue Discover Eagle box. And this will take us to a page that looks something like this. So these different boxes are allowing us to conduct a search using keywords. So, keyword searching in the library website is a little bit different than searching in browsers that you're used to searching in before. So, if I am looking something up in Google and my research question is, how has COVID-19 affected K through 12 education in the United States? I might just type that question exactly as is into the Google search bar. However, our library website does not function like this. To search in our library website, you'll get the best results if you break your research question into a set of keywords. So if I'm looking into the same research question about how has COVID-19 affected K through 12 education in the US, I am going to go through and I'm going to highlight the kind of big key terms in this question. So those would be COVID-19, K through 12, education, and United States. So I'm going to filter out words like how, has, affect, words like impact you can also remove, because Google kind of knows what to do with filler words like that, whereas our library website, including terms like that, can kind of confuse the search. So I'm going to return to advanced search and use these keyword terms that I've chosen and put them in each of these boxes. So we'll start with COVID-19, then we have K through 12, and we have education. And I'm saving that United States keyword to use as a filter a little bit later, and I'll point that out when we do that later. So I have put one word in each box. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to think through, so what are some alternate terms people might use when they're talking about COVID-19? Oh, those arrows are just pointing out that these key terms are connected with the Boolean operator and. So that is looking at the overlap. So not just K through 12 or COVID, but K through 12 and COVID, only sources that talk about both. So now I'm going to think through my alternate terms. So if someone's writing about COVID-19, they might use the term COVID-19, but they also might refer to it as coronavirus or pandemic. So just think through the kinds of terms that people might use to talk about something, and you can include those in the same keyword box using the link or. So that is a Boolean operator, which is basically just a search tool that is going to allow you to tell the library website, I want articles that are talking about COVID-19 or coronavirus. These are alternate terms they might use. And I'm going to do that for each key term that I have. So K through 12 or children or kids, and education or school or learning or teaching or classroom. And then a lot of times when you are starting to type in those keyword boxes, you'll type out your first key term, and the library website might suggest some alternate terms. Sometimes those are helpful, sometimes they're not. In this case, I did decide to select that education or school or learning suggestion from the library website. So these are the terms that I am going to use in my keyword boxes. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check these two boxes down beneath the keyword boxes that are at my library and peer-reviewed. So the peer review box is going to limit my sources to academic peer-reviewed scholarly sources. So this is going to, filter out newspaper articles, filter out popular sources, anything like that. And I'm also going to check the At My Library box, and this is going to limit sources to sources that our library has direct access to. So we can request articles via a process called interlibrary loan, and that's where we will request an article or a book from another university, and they'll send it to us, and then we'll send it to you directly into your email inbox if it is an electronic article. But if you are doing research kind of on a time crunch and your paper is due at the end of the week, that interlibrary loan process, it might take a couple of days. And so if you're pressed for time, I recommend checking At My Library to exclude results that we don't have that direct access to. So next, I will hit search right there. And now we are getting just kind of a general results page. So as you can see, we got a lot of results. We've got around 386,000. And we have so many results because, again, we're searching the entirety of the library's collections. So all of our databases, all of our resources. So I am going to narrow this down a little bit more because if you remember, I do want to limit this to just United States education. So I'm going to go up to that all filters option right under the search box, and I'm going to click that, and I'm going to scroll down and select the geography filter, and I'm going to check the box for United States. So that's going to limit me to results that deal with studies conducted in the United States that are dealing with United States education. And there are a couple of other helpful filters you might find in that all filters section. So date range could be helpful, source type, language, all of that. So that all filters box is definitely something that you're going to want to check out when you're doing your searches. So I'm going to hit search, or I'm going to hit apply. Oh, date range and source types are just being pointed out on that slide. So now we hit apply, and as you can see, we've narrowed our results down to 13,257. So we've still got, a lot of results to search through, but we've definitely eliminated quite a few results as well. And it is normal to have a couple of results that are off topic, but the majority of your results should be on topic. If they're not, that might be a sign that you should adjust your keywords. So this is just kind of a general summary of how to do a keyword search in Discover Eagle on the library website. And we're going to move on to database searching next. So returning to our library homepage, I'm going to select that databases A to Z option. So again, searching in a database can be a helpful way to maybe eliminate some irrelevant information and just give you fewer results to search through. So you're probably going to get less than 13,000 results if you're searching in one particular database. So it can feel a little bit more manageable. So again, clicking that databases A to Z option, and that is taking me to our databases page. So, databases are essentially collections of information organized around a particular subject topic or type of resource. So, on this database page, you can look for databases by subject or by type. So, by subject, I just mean you could look at psychology databases or physical therapy, nursing, different, subjects. So we tag our databases as related to certain subjects. And then by type, you could check out databases that are dissertations or databases that are only newspaper articles, things like that. So again, searching in specific databases is helpful if you have a narrower topic. So you can search for a psychology-related question in a psychology-specific database to remove unrelated results that might pop up when you search in Discover Eagle using all databases, not just the psychology-specific ones. For my particular research topic, I could use an education database like Education Research Complete. I could also use a multidisciplinary database or a database that includes information from multiple subjects. So, an example of that would be Academic Search Complete. I do recommend starting your searches in Academic Search Complete. I think it's just always a great place to start looking for information. So, here I have clicked on Academic Search Complete, and I'm taken to its advanced keyword search page. So this keyword search functions the same as the Discover Eagle one in terms of using those and or tools to search. So I will put my keywords in again connecting with those ors and those ands. And then I'm also going to check that peer review box down there to limit to peer review results only. And I'm going to check the full text box as well. So the full text box does the same thing that the At My Library box does in Discover Eagle. So it's going to be limiting my results to resources that the library has direct access to and excluding those that can be requested via interlibrary loan. So I'm going to press search. And this is taking me to my list of results. So as you can see, we've still got quite a few results, but we've definitely got fewer results than we did when we searched in that Discover Eagle page. So I'm going to use the column on the left-hand side of the screen called Refine Results. And this Refine Results column is your best friend when you're editing your searches. That's where you can remove your peer review filter, change your date range, add other filters. This is like the All Filters tab in Discover Eagle. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to scroll down to geography and I'm going to check that box for United States to limit this to, again, just sources dealing with the United States. So once I do that, I now have much fewer results than I did before, and they seem a bit more on topic to my particular research question. So I want to point out just one quick tool as well with citation. If I find a source I like, I can click on that source. So I will click on this Use of Learning Analytics source. And when I click on that source, I'm taken to a page that looks like this. And I can use that Cite option on the right-hand side column in the right-hand column menu on the screen. And that is going to bring me here, and then I can select my desired citation style, which in this case I'm selecting APA 7th edition. And then that will kind of generate a references citation for me for my references page. So that's just something that can really help you out, save some time. I always like to point it out. If you want to keep track of your results, you can also email them to yourself or create a folder in Academic Search Complete. To email them to yourself, you're going to select email from that, again, that column on the right-hand side, and you'll be taken to a page that looks like this, and you can put your email address in that email to option. And then to add this article to a particular folder, you'll select, again, from that right-hand column menu, Add to Folder. And then at the end of your search period, you can go to the top of the screen and select that folder option, and that will take you to all the articles that you've saved into your folder, which you can then use the column on the right-hand side of the screen to email to yourself. And you can email the PDF text and a citation and your desired citation style. So those are just some helpful search tools that I always like to point out. So, a brief summary of what we talked about. We talked about the differences between searching across all databases in Discover Eagle versus searching in one particular database. We went over how to turn a research question into a set of keywords, as well as how to combine keywords using the and or tools. We narrowed our search with certain limiters, specifically the geography limiter. We used the database Academic Search Complete to conduct a keyword search, and then we used Academic Search Complete to generate an APA-style citation. If you have any questions on using library resources, you can email library@spalding.edu. And you can also scan the QR code on this slide to check out the research course guide for English 110 on our library website. And that's just a place where we've collected some helpful databases and information, including citation information, that we think might help you out with your classes. Thank you all so much for listening to this presentation, and good luck with your research.